welcome in. It's Stephanie. How you doing? Nice to see you. Let me clean this off. And wherever you find yourself, I just want to welcome you in. Welcome, welcome. So, took my break and I'm going to share a message with you. Whatever your situation is, the only thing that we could do is if you're at rock bottom, you have only one way to go, and that's up. You can't go, either you stay there or you can get out of this situation. Or if you're, find yourself in a situation and you're feeling sorry for yourself, we can't move forward when we're sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves. Good people, bad things happen to good people, but it's how we make these choices to go forward. It's an active decision, and whatever it is, we can change our situation. Well, with God's help, we can break these chains. And even if you're stuck where you don't have a lot of money, a lot of people don't, okay? Even when you become rich, you're spending this money left and right, okay? It's just a different lifestyle. You're gonna spend $100 on a shirt, whereas you spend $3 on a shirt if you're poor. It's relevant, but it's a matter of being responsible when we have this money. Hey, Sonia, nice to meet you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in. And I wanted to share this because sometimes people are stuck in the situations, they're stuck in a prison, and they're feeling sorry for themselves. And yes, we do go through things, but there comes a time where we have to turn so we can, make an active choice and then go forward with what we got. It's not in our own strength, it's with God's strength, but it is an active decision. So Jesus wasn't always just giving people a hand up. He was leading to people to the water, but he was asking them, do you want to get well? Do you want to get better? So this is where this message is going to go with. All right, so let's open with a prayer. All right, so I'm going to just show you where I'm at. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, asking that you please bless this message and that the viewer and myself can learn something from this. We all are in the process of growing somehow or another, and we have something that we can share with somebody. In your Son's holy and precious name, amen. And I say this in love because I don't like to see people, if they're in a dire situation, sometimes they could be there for 10 years and people feel sorry for them. Whereas rather than giving them some kind of key or, guiding them, not giving them everything. No, we guide people and then, let them go. Let God speak to you what he wants to do into somebody's life. But you could give somebody everything, and if they don't make that active decision to get up, it won't do nothing. So I'm gonna read. So this isn't, I'm not talking down to anybody, but because I've had to go through this myself, okay? So I'm talking from experience, and I'm talking from a point of, I'll give you a background, okay? I really don't want to tell you my business, but I'll share this, okay? I have 2 children. I never got $1 of child support. Now, a lot of people, you know, they're bitter, they want to hold this child support, but you got 2 kids to raise. What are you gonna do? You gotta do what you gotta do. So I had to shrink. You put that aside. You put your comfort aside, and you press on. It's a process. Change doesn't happen by sitting in the same place, and change doesn't happen when we're comfortable. And even if we're uncomfortable going through the changes, it's painful. Work, like I said, working 50 hours, 60 hours. Sonia, I'm sure you know, I think you're a nurse, is uncomfortable, and it takes time to get to that point. But it's a process, But what's more painful, when I don't have a roof over my head and when I can't put food on the table? Or is it more painful for me, my body, to kind of work through this thing? It's more painful when you can't give your kids food. We're very spoiled in this country. And if you look around the world, there's people that can't even get work. And there's people that don't even have access to like food banks and stuff. But it's a matter of us asking, but, getting out of our comfort zone. So, um, uh, I love you guys, but I don't like to see people stuck in the same situation. If Jesus never had a place to rest his head, he was always relying on somebody else. But while he was there, he was actively working. He was sharing the gospel, was God's son. He didn't even have a place to call his home. So if you think like just because your house isn't big, think about Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. He didn't even have his own house. He went around and put his comfort aside. And that's this, we're not above Jesus. Jesus is Jesus Christ. And he was half human. He was born of God's seed and he was half human. So if you don't think that means anything, come on, the King of Kings, he didn't have his own place. So we have to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. We can't sit down and expect that you're going to have success. Whatever you expect, whatever you need, you have to do an active part. It doesn't just be handed out. I mean, what is that? Somebody who's working 60 hours and somebody who's working 10 hours. Do you think that they should get the same exact pay? No. But when we go to heaven, everybody gets the same thing when you accept Jesus. But this is right now, this is about if we need a life change, we got to be active about seeking what we need. Today is today. It doesn't matter. 10 years from now, you have no idea. And if you're banking on that your channel is going to get monetized, it's going to take sometimes it goes quick. But what if you lose this channel? We have no way to bank on a channel being monetized. When you go to work, you're serving other people and you're making a living. You have vacation time and stuff. I have no idea how this thing goes. But, all right. Hey, Yana, how are you? Let me see if I can. God, this is so beautiful. I don't mean to be like this, but this is important. I'm sure. All right, let me calm down for a minute. Whatever you find yourself in the situation, I think there's a fish. Whatever situation you find yourself in, God wants to get you out of it. Jesus never, when he came across people, he never wanted to leave them in their misery. But he couldn't do for them. It was their choice to actively get up. I mean, he did heal people's sight. He, he did provide food out of a couple loaves, but a boy gave his school lunch and he fed 5,000 people, So whatever we give Jesus, he's going to exceed it abundantly. So we have to stop feeling sorry for ourselves, even if we're in a bad situation, because you'll never, and if somebody's like constantly always feeling sorry for you and not being honest with you, how can we grow like this? You can't. Think about, okay, we complain that we have to pay like a copay when we go to the doctors. Well, do you know, like, when you go, how much schooling a doctor has to actually go through? They have to go years and years and years of schooling, and they have a lot of debt, okay? It's probably over $100,000. So a little copay is helping them because all that school they went through to become a doctor. But Jesus is the ultimate, physician. So I'm just going to read from a man healed at the pool of Bethsaida. So this Jesus, there was a man. Okay, so let's open our hearts. Okay, and this isn't judgment on anybody, but I don't like to see people staying in the same condition and not take an active part and try to one step. So this is that kind of message, right? So wherever you find yourself. So after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethsaida, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the move of the water. It was actually underground tubes that come up, but they didn't know this back then. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had or she had, right? Now, a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. He was sitting there for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" Jesus is asking him, "Do you want to be made well?" He says, the sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, but while I'm coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." Immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. Jesus didn't ask him. He told him to get up and take up his bed and walk. And he was the Son of God, right, Dee Dee? He was the Messiah that came. He still is the Messiah. And that day was the Sabbath. So Sunday, they weren't supposed to do anything, move anything. There was a lot of rules and regulations. The Jews therefore said to him, who said to him who was cured, "It is a Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed." He answered them, "He who made me well said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" Then they asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon you." The man departed and told the Jew that it was Jesus who had made him well. So now, hey Misha, welcome in. Thank you for coming. Yana, thank you for coming in. Thank you, God. Thank you, ladies. Well, we could be sitting around. Okay, let me just take it. Like I said, I have two children, and I never got food. I never got $1 child support. Okay, so if you think it's easy to raise children, yes, my fiance did help me, but if you think that I didn't have to put in my fair share, I did. Okay, and I never still received $1 child support. And he owes me thousands. I don't really care because God has blessed me abundantly and over. But whatever situation you're in, today could be the day that it ends. And take up your mat and walk. So whether you don't have to go to the dumpster to go get food, you can go to a food pantry, but you are going to have to actively take that step unless you're in front, unless you really are in a wheelchair, they can help you. But you are going to have to ask somebody and give yourself that opportunity, because even if you only lived 15 more years and you stay in the same condition and don't take steps, it's not going to get better. And then even like, let's say you have some kind of addiction and it just, you're going to have to get some kind of treatment. You can't stay in this condition and expect things to get better. Jesus wants to give you a good life. We're not, and I care about you, and this message may be a little bit tough, but you can't get better if you have everybody patting you on the back when we can act. I can't carry everybody's weight. I'm one person. We actively have to take a step in getting the help we need, and we all work in this world together. It's not just 5 people working for 40 people. No, everybody has a place to work, and maybe you're in this situation like because of somebody else, maybe somebody's just causing a lot of debt in your household. Well, maybe that person just needs to go, and that you take up your mat and walk, because if somebody does that to you, they really don't care, and we're not here to be somebody's doormat, you know, we're all in this together. And like I mean, we have to. And if you have a couple, a husband and wife, and you know and you got children and you're struggling, well, both of the parents have to work. It's just the way it is. I don't feel sorry for people who have two people in the household and they're still not able to make it. You can do it, but you're not going to see each other all the time. It's just the way it is. You're going to have to put your comfort aside. You're not going to be able to spend every hour together. You're going to have to go to work. And in this country, like I said, we have jobs, but a lot of people are too proud sometimes, or they just don't want to do these jobs. Well, you look at your circumstance and you look at your kids and you look at the whole entire big picture. That's why a family unit is stronger than a single family, because you have two people. If one takes off, the other one can work. That's what a household's supposed to be. And the fathers definitely need to contribute. And if you wind up having a child or something, you need the father to continue working while you're carrying this baby, and even after the baby comes, because you're going to need time. It just is what it is. And it's a shame when the men try to act like, they're it's too much. No, this is what life is about. This is going to be your child. The people say I have to pay child support. Well, it's your child. This is what it is. Who's supposed to support your child? You go get two jobs if you have to. I really don't care. Because why why does one person, you have a child, why does one person have to carry the whole entire weight for a child that's two people? Two people created this child. And I'm talking from somebody who didn't get $1 child support. So trust me, my kids had to go. I had to wash clothes in a bathtub because I didn't have money to go to the laundromat. I don't need anybody feeling sorry for me, okay? But I'm just telling you, I don't make these messages because I've had everything handed to me. I have had people help me, okay? It hasn't been me doing this, but I did the most that I could, and people seeing that and they wanted to help. We have an active part to play. So Jesus is asking you now, do you want to get better? He's not carrying you all the way. He wants you to get up, take up your mat and walk. If you need to get a job, you need to seek it. The job is not just going to fall in your lap. It's just not. But I'm sorry, it's a little bit tough, but this was on my heart. We're so lucky in this country. Look at in Gaza and Israel, what's going on. These people don't even have food to go to. They won't even let the food in the country, and it's just a total disaster. So we're very fortunate here. And it's an honor to be able to go to work every day. There's really people that can't go to work and are severely handicapped. You don't think they want to go to work, but a lot of times we have mental blocks in our head. But you need, at that point, you need to get professional help. But then you ask them. You get a counselor who's going to help you, like a life coach, give you steps that's really going to strengthen you. Not somebody to if you're in a bad situation, you don't need to stay in the bad situation. We have a choice. We don't have to stay in a bad situation. And like I said, I make these videos because it's my experience. But Jesus, man, he wants to get us out of a situation. And I don't like seeing people in dire situations. And especially like if it's, the father, even if you're not together, you're responsible for your child. You feel good that your kid doesn't have shoes and stuff. No, you get two jobs if you have to. This is old school. This is, it's not about being comfortable, oh, we got to take off. I work just about every single holiday. And yes, my kids did have to not see me all the time, but I didn't have a choice. And to get where I'm at, driving a truck, I had to work in Amazon. And I had to work overnights to start out with. And I mean, my stomach was killing me. And if you think it's not hard leaving a baby at 8 months overnight, it's extremely hard. But this is how I was able to get where I can, just about pay my bills now. It's not like you have a ton of money, but you're going to have to put in the work. Success doesn't come by sitting on the sidelines, and education is really key, whether you go to trade school or whatever. But even after you come out, you're still going to have to prove yourself to these employers. Just because you have your bachelor's degree, it's a it's a step in the right direction, but you're going to have to prove yourself that you have these knowledge and that people can actually trust you. You know, it's not just given. When they gave me the truck, they didn't just let me go into the truck. No, I had to go for training, and then I had to be in training on top of that after, because they want to make sure that I'm going to be successful and that I'm not going to just be destructive with, you know, a big responsibility. It's not just handed. Just because we have education, you have to prove yourself too. On top of it, you're vetted. People vet you. Yeah, the children need the father and the mother, okay? But people are selfish, you know? And even if you have a problem with one parent, you don't let the kids know. You don't tear a family apart, you know? Sometimes it doesn't work out, but you know, you keep that between you and that person. You don't bring the kids into that because it's wrong. It separates the kids, you know, and the father is so important for the children, you know. And hey, Stewie, how are you? And you know, spending time with the kids too, like the father is so important, just like the mother, you know. But yeah, I don't know what else to say, but whatever condition we find ourselves in, you don't have to stay there, you know. We're not staying. We may have anxiety for a short time, but we need to find out where is that anxiety coming from, and then, you know, stop lying to ourselves. If somebody's causing that anxiety, then we need to step away from that person or whatever we're doing and then move forward. But it could be from trauma, so that is something you have to process. It doesn't go away without processing, you know. And I'm not a counselor, but you know, you do have to process these emotions, and it's better to process it. It's spend, like, you know, a couple months of therapy, whatever it takes, and then move forward. But God can heal you. God can restore your mind and your heart and all that. And He will send a redeemer to you. Even if you have a marriage that failed, God will send a redeemer. But, you know, you got to process some of the issues going through before you move on to something else, you know. Because sometimes we're so our heart is so messed up that you fall for the same thing. You don't really vet somebody before you know, give them your heart. So you be careful. But like I said, whatever situation you're in, whether it's your own fault or not, you can take a step towards getting out of that. And it's like not playing the victim, you know. I hated when people would always bring up that I didn't get child support. I really couldn't stand it. So I stopped telling people because it's just, I didn't want to be, you know, like, I don't know what you call it. I felt like I was being belittled and stuff like that. I don't want people feeling sorry for me. I'm going to get my ass up out of whatever I'm in, whatever situation, and I'm going to ask God. But God has really given me the strength, you know. I didn't drive a truck because it's in my own strength. No, I did it because God gave me this strength, and He has strengthened me. But these times make you tougher. Not like you don't have a heart or anything, but it does make you, when you have challenges and struggles, it's what you hold on to dear. Like, look at all of us. We made it through the pandemic, right? And this time they're talking about everything's going to go up. Well, we already been through this. And, you know, if you came from poverty, you know how to save money by shopping and looking at the sales, you know. Well, I don't know what else to say. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I don't like to see people, if they're in a bad situation, to stay there, you know. The first step is acknowledging that there's a problem or whatever, and then go from there and ask for help. But we do have an active part to play in it. So I'm going to sign off here because it's about 25 minutes. Isn't this beautiful? It's about 25 minutes, and that's it. That's all I wanted to share. But please, I'm not talking down to anybody. I'm trying to be like a sister, or even if you were you're not my children, obviously, but you know, even if somebody's like a 15-year-old, I want to talk to you. But you know, as we're adults, it's a little bit different. But looks like there's gold in there. But that's all I wanted to be, is like a voice out there to let you know you can do something about it. We're not defeated, and there is resources, but like I said, we have to take active steps in the process. It's not just we ask God to help us get out of this and just sit on the sidelines. No, it's actively taking the steps, you know, like Jesus told the guy to take up his mat. And then sometimes people are comfortable with seeing you in extreme poverty and stuff like this, that when you start to come out of that, they're gonna, maybe they'll be envious of you, but it's so stupid. But you just, you know, keep going, and God's gonna bring you through it. But like I said, we have an active part to play in it, no matter what. None of us is going through life and it's just a scot-free road. No. Push, press in, and be thankful that you could find a job, even if it's not what you want, because step by step, and when the managers know what to look for, so it doesn't matter what you go in there for. They promote people. They did that all the time at Amazon. They would get your background and they would promote the people. They would raise them up, you know, but you have to prove yourself first. They don't just give you a title without, you know, vetting you first. So yeah, make you a moderator. I don't know why I didn't have you on there. It's beautiful. So whatever situation you find yourself in, you can get out of it. But you have to take the step, all right? God bless you guys, and whatever this speaks to you. If you didn't like it, you can leave a comment and let me know if I'm rude or something like that. That's okay. Not everybody's going to like my videos, but I'm trying to, you know, say it in the nicest way possible, but, you know, with love, as somebody who truly cares about you. Whether we see each other or not, I do care about you, because you're part of this world. We're all in community. All right? Well, God bless you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm going to go now.